Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
My STBXW came out in early December. I can't move on really long story. My world is now turned upside down. My life seems phony right now, and all I want to know is how to go back to living it. So the whole thing revolves around Thanksgiving. In my home, Thanksgiving is one of the few occasions a year when I can relax and have a drink. So I got buzz, but my wife went intoxicated. I was cleaning the dishes towards the end of our meal when my wife stumbled into the kitchen. I asked her what was wrong since she was a weeping mess. I could barely comprehend "I'm sorry" since she slurred her words so horribly. I escorted her to her bedroom, retrieved a glass of water for her, and placed her on the bed. That was the day I began to wonder what was wrong with her. Then, in early December, I had to leave work early due to a terrible fall. When I arrived, I was taken aback by the presence of another automobile in my driveway. This wasn't a recognizable automobile either. It was a 03 Dodge Durango, which I hadn't seen since one of my friends smashed it at a house party in 2005. Anyway, I stepped in and my wife was sitting on the couch with a glass of wine in her hand, and as I walked in, she gave me a big embrace. When I inquired about the automobile in the driveway, she said that it belonged to a girlfriend. When I questioned where her girlfriend was, she replied she was having a shower after spilling wine on herself. I didn't believe this tale. I simply had a strong feeling she was lying to me. So I inquired once again, and she told me the same tale. At that very time, a thought occurred to me. I already know, that's why I came home early, I remarked as I sat down. My friends and I stopped playing poker because I had an Oscar-worthy poker face, and that factored into this as well. "Know what?" she said, terrified. I informed her that I already knew and that she deserved to tell me. I don't believe she could have done it if she hadn't previously been drinking. She began apologizing and telling me that she wasn't being her true self and that she needed to be more open and honest with herself. The lady she had been seeing strolled out of the restroom on cue. When she saw me, the lady paused, then sat down next to my wife and gripped her hand strongly. That's when it hit me. My poker face is excellent, but not great. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I can't keep pretending and wasting my life like this, my wife remarked. The mix of being shell-shocked, disrespectful, and depressed proved too much for me, and I burst into tears. I resisted the want to cry. I ordered the odd lady to leave my residence right now, and she first refused. I'm not an aggressive or frightening person, but I hurled my coffee table across the living room, near my dining table. She seemed terrified, so I gently urged her to go once again. She attempted to say she wasn't going anywhere again, but my wife literally forced her out. She returned and began apologizing and saying things like, "You're my best friend and I still love you." The agony of falling down a ladder onto tile and pulling up a stone coffee table had taken its toll on my back at this time. I knelt on my ottoman and collapsed down. My wife came over to soothe me, but when she touched me, I freaked out and she walked to the bedroom. I slept on the ottoman right there. The remainder of December was a nightmare. I really injured my back and had to see a doctor. I was given some severe pain relievers as well as a cane. Because the medications had sleepiness as a side effect, I felt sleepy most of the time. Because I couldn't work due to my back, I spent the month grieving at the end of my marriage and my terrible back pain. In addition to viewing Stargate SG-1, I didn't eat much and just had once in a while. Yet I dropped over 13 pounds in 2 weeks. My wife spent most of December at her girlfriend's place, but she came here for Christmas. She and her girlfriend came over and my wife sobbed a bit when she saw my filthy clothing, caveman beard, and bulging eyes. They sat me down and told me that although my wife was moving on, she still loved me as a best friend. She wants me to accept her relationship and be a part of her life. For the first time in weeks, I had the courage to tell her that I was done with her. She chattered me, and I wasn't going to stand there and applaud her. She abandoned me, leaving me with a damaged back and a shattered heart. The girlfriend attempted to converse, but I dismissed her as a homewrecker. She became enraged and informed her that she was not welcome in my home. My wife attempted to talk, but I stopped her off and informed her that the homewrecker had to go before we could continue. We chatted after the homewrecker departed. I informed her that the divorce was imminent and that she would be able to take practically little from me. I inherited my home long before we met, and both of my automobiles were given to me by my uncle at the same time I received my house. She seemed a little disappointed, so I informed her that this would be the last time we spoke in person. From now on, every correspondence would be handled by my attorney. She pleaded with me to stay in contact, but I told her the truth about how I felt. I said that I considered suicide at least 10 times every day. I told her she meant more to me than anything else, yet she deceived me. I informed her that talking to her made me physically nauseous and that I was in physical agony. She was aware of it. So that's what I've been doing. I find myself thinking about her all the time now. New Year's was a shambles. I avoided alcohol during this time period mostly because it is harmful when combined with my medicines. Speaking of painkillers, I should be done with them shortly. Those drugs are dreadful, and I just want to go back to work and do anything other than sleep and vomit. This has become ridiculously lengthy. Please accept my apologies. In some ways, this was therapeutic for me. Allowing the words to flow was really beneficial to me. Has anybody have a similar experience? Do you know how to quit thinking about your ex? Please, I'll take whatever counsel you may give me. Story 2. I, 25 female, think I just found out my boyfriend, 24 male, cheated on me, but I don't know how to confront him. As a background, my boyfriend and I dated between September 2020 and initially broke up in April 2021. When he came by on April 6th, the date is important, and told me that he felt like something was missing in our relationship. On the surface, everything was fine, and we got along well, but I had also asked him the week before if he ever doubted our relationship, as I had occasional moments of deep doubt. It was difficult for me to break up with him, but it seemed extremely eye-to-eye and mutual to me, despite the fact that he started it. After a few months, we saw one another a few times, and it seemed like we might become excellent friends. But at a party in July, he said that he was still in love with me, and that breaking up with me was the worst mistake he'd ever made. It took a lot of talking and seeing each other before we were able to reunite in October. We'd both been seeing other people, and had been upfront about seeing others between July and September, which was okay with me. He wasn't as delighted, but said he realized it wasn't his position to tell me what to do. Now for the deception. He informed me that he briefly dated this lady J, but she wanted to be in a relationship, but things happened too quickly for him, and he didn't have emotions for her, so he ended it. At a party a few weeks ago, one of his pals made an odd comment to this female J. I was fairly intoxicated and don't recall exactly what he said, but it left a funny sensation in my stomach. He stayed over today, and I kept waking up because his phone wasn't set to mute. I know his phone code, and he once joked that he can't keep secrets since everyone knows his code. I unlocked it in order to silence it and disable any alarm clocks. I've done it several times, and he doesn't object if I use his phone. But since I had a peculiar sensation, I decided to go over his correspondence with Jay. They hadn't communicated since May, which suited the scenario, but one of his final texts said, "We weren't together for long." So I went back to the beginning. Most messages were voice notes, so I didn't listen to them. The ones I could read were about a little event they held on April 3rd, which she attended. However, on the 6th, my boyfriend receives a message in which he states that his closest buddy has never been this interested in his love life, and asks him every day whether they are still together. That message was sent at 12 a.m., and we parted ways in the evening. So something had to have transpired between them for his closest buddy to ask such a question. I read down a little farther, and on the 12th, there's a message in which he refers to her as my cute girlfriend. So contrary to what he told me, they had been formally dating for a few days after we had broken up. I'm still shaking, and I'm not sure what I should do or how I should address him. I'm not the sort to be envious or to snoop through phones and feel stupid for doing so. Have you ever been in a scenario like this?